Hello, Namaste, Andy. Welcome all for this session with Sri Ayush Nadimpalli ji. Thank you so much, Ayush ji, for taking your time and joining. We are very glad you are on this panel. And to all the viewers, I would like to introduce Sri Ayush ji. Ayush Nadimpalli ji, he's a resident of Bhagyanagar, Hyderabad. And his current profession, basically, he is a director and CEO at Adroitech Group. The company is specializing in design, PLM, and automation. His education, his BTech and MBA. And he kind of works for the NGOs in the research and media. Ayush ji, he is a director in Bharat Prakashan, that publishes Organizer and Panchajanya. One moment. Hello, Namaste, Andy. Welcome all for this session with Sri Ayush Nadimpalli ji. He's the General Secretary of Samachara Bharati, General Secretary of Samvit Kendra, and trustee at South Center for South Indian Studies. Ayush ji, he also provides advisory services as an advisor to Hindu eShop, a website for books, products on Rashtra and Dharma. He is advisor to Samvit Prakashan, a publishing house. And Ayush ji has co-authored 2 books. He has written on several national issues in weeklies and magazines. And to his credit, he has several social awards, of which few are the one on Vocational Excellence Award by the Rotary Club of Secunderabad. Thank you, Ayush ji, for joining this session. And do you have... Yeah, sure. So would like to know from you more around, at a very high level, the concept of Lokmanthan, the 2024 event, and what's in it.
Yeah, firstly, namaste to all. We are having this event on a very auspicious day of Valmiki Jayanti, Ashweja Purnima. And who better to represent what is the Loka Parampara than Valmiki, Maharshi Valmiki. This concept of Lokmanthan, this whole program happens once in 2 years. So this is the 4th edition of Lokmanthan. The earlier editions were in Bhopal, Ranchi, Guwahati. And this is the first event that is happening south of the Vindhyas. So in a way, it is also the first attempt that is happening in the south of Bharat. The whole idea of Lokmanthan emerged from the point that the various expressions of culture that are there in Bharat, there are different forces that the entire academic framework or the media framework that has functioned in our country for the last few decades and in fact few centuries, they have worked on certain promoting certain ideas in the minds of people which promote divisive concepts. For example, there is this idea that people who are living in the forests, their culture is different, and the people who are living in villages, their culture is different. People who live in urban areas, their culture is different. And we have this word that there are many cultures in Bharat. But when we deliberated on this concept, we felt that this is not what is true. Bharat is one culture and expressed in various forms. So the expressions are seen in our different forms of whether they are festivals or the way we eat or the customs that we have, the way we dress. But there is a underlying unity among all of us. This is one thing that we wanted to focus on and bring intellectuals and people from all walks of life to deliberate on these issues. The second thing that which is very common when we look at the parlance that is used in Bharatiya languages versus the way we would probably communicate that in a language like English. In Bharatiya languages, we use this term that Vanavasi, Girivasi, Gramavasi, Nagaravasi, hum sab Bharatvasi. So we are living in different places, but we are all one. Whereas when we use the different idiom in the different languages, the general way we would talk about them will be village folk, tribals, or city dwellers. So when we use these words, we come to this idea that maybe they are all different and there is no oneness. But and the third thing that we started thinking was when we are worshipping the divine, the form of the goddess. We just had the Navaratris. In the Navaratris also, the form of worship is different in different parts of the country. But there is one underlying unity of the divine goddess, why she came, Mahishasura Mardini, the qualities that she represents. And same way, the Ravana Vadha that happens from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, we have in almost all parts of the country, in every nook and corner, we will have the Ravana Dahanam kind of karikram in different names. But this concept of dharma winning over adharma and righteousness over wrongdoing, this has always been celebrated in Bharat in different across centuries actually. So bringing all these ideas, these customs, the underlying unity, and in terms of not only intellectual discussions but also in terms of art forms, different forms of culture, all that into one big mela. So that is the whole concept of Lokmanthan, where we will have people from academic background, we have people from the culture, people who worship art forms or who perform different art forms, and common folk like us, people who just enjoy the whole experience itself. So this Lokmanthan is a program where all this comes together. And the experience itself leaves us that feeling that it reinforces that feeling that we are one. So this we have been trying in different parts of the country now. And the first time, like I said, we are having it in Dakshinapatha, in the south of India.
Okay. Sure, sir. Sure. Thank you so much for that, sir. Now, it is happening here. And from this event, how can ordinary people relate to this unity in their everyday lives, especially when our traditions vary so widely across the country, right? India is the most varied country, with the culture and with the various aspects of the rituals and all that.
In fact, this again, I'm coming back to the same point that this variety is somehow being perceived as divisions for various reasons. Primarily, British interventions, academic interventions that happened during the colonial period. If you look at our traditions, for example, we do this yatra of Jyotirlinga. Ashtre Somanathan Cha, Sriselam Mallikarjanam, Ujjainam Mahakalam, Omkaram Amaresh. So when we talk about the Dwadasha Jyotirlingas, they are spread all across the country. And people from, we don't know when, right, from centuries old, from thousands of years, the common folk from across the country, they have been traveling all across the country. Right, from south they go to Kedar, to Badri, the person goes to Baidyanath, he goes to Bhima Shankar. So across all this, no pilgrim used to feel that I am in a different place or I am somewhere out of place. Wherever that pilgrim used to go, he used to find oneness there. How did our ancestors they were able to establish this? Because we were one. There was no need to create oneness. Bharat is one is expressed from our Puranas itself. We have these slokas like Uttaram Yat Samudrasya, Himadraischaiva Dakshinam, Varsham Tad Bharatam Nama, Bharati Yatra Santati. So the land which is above the Hindu Mahasamudram and below this Hindu Sagar, this is one nation, one Bharat. So this was always our, it is there in the Vishnu Purana. So we had no need to teach somebody that we are one. It was experienced. The same way, if I am a Shakti, I would have the Shakti Pitas, Darshanas. Same way you have the four Dham Yatra, we ride from Rameshwaram to Dwarka to Badri to Puri. So the people feel that I want to complete this in one lifetime. Then there is this tradition of going from Kashi to Rameshwaram, Rameshwaram to Kashi. This is another tradition. There is this tradition of the Kolhapur to Tirupati, the exchange of saris that happen from Sholapur also. There is from the Kolhapur sari goes to Tirupati, I guess. So there is this. There has always been, from the cultural point of view, people were always feeling one. But because of interventions by different forces, this somehow people started identifying with smaller identities. I'm not saying that the smaller identities are bad, but they cannot overpower the larger identity. So I may belong to Telangana, I belong to Bhagyanagar, I belong to one particular area within Bhagyanagar, but that doesn't form my bigger identity. So my bigger identity is that I am a Bharatiya, I am a Hindu. So that is what we want to celebrate through this event. And therefore, for common folk also, when they experience this, they will come to the conclusion, or it will reinforce what is already within them, which they are feeling. But today, that feeling doesn't have, it's not vindicated. They have a lingering doubt. Maybe what these colonialists have taught us is true. When the Lokmanthan happens, when people start experiencing Lokmanthan, they will come to this, they feel vindicated that yes, whatever I have felt is true. So a lot of times we feel something, but because of the atmosphere outside, the common folk is in double mind. He or she feels that he or she lives in two worlds.
Absolutely.
So we want people to come experience it, and then they will automatically feel and want to celebrate their cultural the oneness which is expressed in diverse forms. So that is what is our intention of having Lokmanthan here.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, sir. Sir, the next one. You've been deeply involved in promoting the Bharatiya customs through Samvi Kendra and Samachar Bharati. Could you explain how Lokmanthan aims to ensure that these cherished traditions, they would continue to evolve without losing their essence, and how can they be preserved for our future generations?
Firstly, my belief is that we are a living civilization, and it's not my belief; it is what is the truth actually. And we are not a museum civilization. So we don't preserve something; we actually live culture. So our culture is it is a continuum. The way we live our dharma, our culture, our life, because it is a continuum. It can be preserved only when people live it.
Right, right.
So the initiatives that we are taking, either from Samvit Kendra or Samachara Bharati, which is also partner organizations for Lokmanthan. The ideas here are that we work among intellectuals, we do research on history in the Dakshinapatha studies. To Samachara Bharati, we promote positive thought among youngsters through social media initiatives, through column writing. We teach people through these NGOs about how to communicate about these ideas. So our NGOs like Samvit Kendra, Dakshinapatha Studies, and Samachara Bharati, their basic work is to ensure that to enable youngsters to be able to first read, understand about Bharati ideas in different forms of life, and then be able to express them through various fora. So whether it is writing or speaking, or they can choose any other platform like any other social media platform, or the way like you are running a successful social media channel, a YouTube channel. So using these forums to be able to communicate Bharati ideas. So I think the only way to make a positive impact in the current times is to draw a bigger line. create confidence among people, and then enabling them to communicate these ideas, so that whatever the poison that has been spread over centuries, that can be removed easily by empowering the common person, by empowering the common citizen with
Right.
knowledge and skill
Right. Right.
about our culture, art, and tradition.
It's, that's a very noble aspect, sir. Very noble. And further continuing, sir, if we really look up at the overall the population, the millennials and the youth today, right, in terms of they playing a significant role in taking Bharatiya culture forward. They are the ones for the future generations. So, what message would you like to share with them about the importance of attending Lokmanthan 2024 and what they stand to gain in participating in such an event? Because this really has a lot of national importance and also a lot of value to the citizens, to the individuals, and with the youth being the torch bearers for the future, the message to them will your key message will really help them kind of funnel into this.
Firstly, I'm not big enough to give a message to millennials, because they know much more today than what I would know. They are empowered with technology. They're empowered with new thoughts. But I can only talk about the initiative that is the Lokmanthan. So many NGOs, I mean, hundreds of organizations are going to come together to give an experience of this ekatmata that I call, of oneness. To experience this oneness, a person would have to travel maybe hundreds and thousands of kilometers. They have to visit different places to experience this oneness. But this in Lokmanthan, we are able to call different organizations, different people from different walks of life, from different parts of the world. Actually, this event, the delegates who are going to come, going to come from more than 30 different countries.
Wow.
Plus, from every nook and corner of maybe Telangana and Andhra also. So we'll have this unique combination, unique presentation of academicians across the world, plus practitioners across the country. So this unique combination is very rare to find. So for the youngsters, this is a great opportunity to come and experience this. You may come out with a different when you go through this, you may come out with a different idea. You maybe have some suggestions, but for getting to here, you will otherwise you will need to invest many years and travel many thousands of kilometers. So
You are
in
giving
one place,
yes,
you can see a mini world celebrating oneness, even though they look diverse.
absolutely, absolutely.
So these kind of initiatives, apart from Lokmanthan, there have been some similar initiatives of working among people who are cultural practitioners across the world, who are today called as pagan cultures or pre-Christian cultures. So there are pre-Christian cultures all over the world, and in small numbers. So they look up to Bharat as their elder brother. So, or their elder sister, let me call it. So across the world, these practitioners of culture, pre-Christian cultures, who also worship Mother Nature, they feel a sense of strength when they come to Bharat. So it's a great opportunity for youngsters also to interact with such people when they come here. So I would feel that we must make the most of this, because this is the first time it is happening in Bhagyanagar in Hyderabad, and it's a great opportunity for all of us.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And again, Ayush ji, in your opinion, how can our Bharatiya traditions, especially values like Seva, the service, right, and Kartavya, the duty, inspire ordinary citizens and youth alike to contribute to the nation building with love, compassion, and that aspect of the country, right? The patriotism towards the country.
I think first thing is we all have that innate feeling within us. It's only that because of the rush that everybody is in, we want to make our careers. Doesn't strike us, but the feeling of empathy, the feeling of oneness with the society is always there. I mean, if you look at any medical student who joins a medical college, he may come out when he passes out, he may be a different person. But when he wants to join the medical college, it is with the sense of purpose of giving back to society to do something very noble.
Yes,
So these
absolutely.
are, and this is across. I mean, any person, any youngster, if you ask him what do you want to do, he or she always has something very positive in their mind. So the sense of seva or kartavya is there. Otherwise, you cannot explain why armed personnel in the country they receive so much of respect, right? The security people or the armed forces. Wherever they go, people treat them with very high degree of respect because they value the sense of kartavya that they have. Similarly, the feeling of empathy, right? That if you look when we look at our country, the social security cost which is there, taking care of old people, taking care of orphans, taking care of the infirmed, the physically or mentally challenged. So many NGOs are working in this country, which are primarily run by public funding.
Mm.
The amount of service that common NGOs are doing in the country, this is unparalleled. This is in other countries, all this is to be done by the government. But in our nation, we find that all this is done by common people. Same way, we have so many dharmasatras, which are run by mathas, mandirs. I mean, so it is a huge seva. Unfortunately, we have not documented all this.
Right, right.
We keep looking for philanthropy to some Gates or Warren Buffett. We keep quoting their examples, but the philanthropy that is done by the common person in our country through all these large collective endeavors is unparalleled. So I think it is time we also document this. How does this come about? Come about? This feeling come about is like they say in regarding Vyasa, when Veda Vyasa ji was asked, you have written so much? You have organized the Vedas, you have written about the Purana, you have written the Puranas. What is the simple message if I cannot read all this? So he says there are paropakara punyaya, papaya parapidanam. So what do you get? How do you get punya? By doing paropakara. So this principle of upakara, paropakara is embedded in our tradition.
Tradition,
So
right.
just by living our values, teaching our next generation about simple values, uh, I think we will come there. It's not very difficult for us because we are already living it. Only thing is maybe we should focus on one or two areas like dignity of labor. This is an important thing that we must teach our children, especially people living in the urban folk. We must take them to villages, how or people from the how they are living. How does a farmer work today? Right? A lot of people in the cities, they don't even know how paddy is grown. Right? How do we get rice to eat? So all these things, unless they see the hard work that the farmer is going through or experiencing that, we must show them this. We must, some well-to-do family, they have to show them how people in the Janajati Kshetras, in the forest, they live. Not in the sense of some that I'm living, I'm bigger and you're lower. It is a sense of experiencing it. And how do they live there? How do they live happily there also? So experiencing that, then what happens is people automatically come to know that even though wherever I am living, one, I am privileged to be wherever I am in a better position. Secondly, the person wherever he is living, he is also performing his kartavya there. So when people start experiencing this, especially the youngsters, children, when they get exposure to all this, their sense of what is our nation, what is Bharat, changes. So which I would call it as darshan, right? When they see it, when they experience it, when they see it, automatically emotions start triggering. So when somebody asked Swami Vivekananda, somebody asked Rabindranath Thakurji, how do I know India? He said, read Vivekananda. And if you ask Vivekananda, what did he do? He traveled across the country to experience Bharat before giving a message.
Right.
He traveled across the country, and that is why his speech in America had so much of power.
Mm,
Because he experienced our nation and life, felt about our people. Third aspect about Seva and Kartavya, I would feel that is somehow in the last few centuries, or we have, especially after the Islamic invasions, the there are certain habits which we did not have earlier.
mhm,
Uh, the rampant increase in certain practices like untouchability,
mm,
about higher and lower among jatis.
right.
Jatis were there, so-called castes. They were always there, and people had their own role to play. But the sense of hierarchy in it,
Mm,
that is not a part of our tradition. It has come somewhere in between. How it came, how to come over that. So when people start experiencing life, how they live, how every community has a role to play in our nation. Every thing which is so-called small also has a huge role to play. All these things have to be experienced. Like Lokmanya Tilak ji used to say that you create the filth and he cleans it. Who is greater? So these things have to be taught and experienced to our children, and then I think that oneness, experiencing that oneness is not difficult in our country. Only problem today is we are living in silos, and everybody is creating another silo, one more silo inside that. Those silos have to be broken, I won't say, or they have to move out of their silos and start experiencing what is one. So these few things, I think, as from our side also, we try to take those initiatives.
Very well said, sir. And and it's so true that at the grassroots level, so much of the social service activity happens in terms of NGOs. Because at least, right, in the way we live, across two streets, across three streets, there are NGOs that are kind of surviving and people are serving. It's just that, we don't come out, we don't talk, we don't kind of express. So, as you said, yes, there is a lot of that aspect of the philanthropical aspect, the aspect of service. Maybe it's just that the silos that have gotten recently in the couple decades, people have to come out of it and kind of start
Some initiatives like using digital platforms, these great stories, change agents. You are
absolutely.
also trying to introduce people who are doing bringing about change. There is a website called Seva .org, in which they are trying to document thousands of stories across the country.
Wow.
Small areas, small places, even small villages where there are change makers. So Seva Gatha is such an initiative where all this they are trying to document such initiatives. Similar things, I think, have to be done in different parts and
Mm,
different by different people.
yes, 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 absolutely. Thank you so much, sir, for that. When we look up at Lokmanthan, right, the main theme of Lokmanthan, the Lok Avalokan, and the sub themes of Lok Vichaar, Lok Vyavahar, Lok Vyavastha. Can you share some light on it, sir?
So each Lokmanthan has different themes. So
Oh,
last time it was Lok Parampara. So they
mm,
tried to celebrate the heritage or the traditions.
mm,
That was this time we are looking at the next level about these ideas of today. The whole world is talking about sustainable development. We are talking about ecology. We are talking about going green. So many different things are there, and all answers to all these different problems lie in Bharatiya tradition,
mm,
or which is called as Lok Vichaar. When we
mm,
say Lok in Telugu, we will call it Janapada, or which is people rooted in people's ideas. So, looking at our fundamentals and then formulating ideas and solutions based on that is what we are trying to do with this. For example, there is this practice which comes out of an idea, like when we children get up in the morning, we are taught that you do Bhumi Vandan and say Samudra Vasane Devi Parvatasthana Mandale Vishnu Patni Namastubhyam Padasparsham Kshamaswame. So the sense of gratitude to Mother Nature, to Mother Earth, that I'm stepping on you, kindly forgive me. So when the boy or a girl is taught this from childhood, as that person grows up, this value remains with that person. So wherever he goes across the world, even if he's living in Australia or Sri Lanka, or he goes to any other part of the world, the the behavior towards Mother Earth does not change. So this person becomes an ambassador of our culture. So this Lok Vichaar to Lok Vyavahaar. Lok Vichaar is an idea that the mother is Earth is our mother. Now, how do you teach this? You do this Vichar, which is the idea, has to be taught through Vyavahar. So we teach a habit that you do Namaskar to the Bhumi. So by doing this, as this practice becomes larger and larger, more and more people do it, it becomes a Vyavastha. So slowly, every idea has to be, it cannot be rooted only in air. It needs a people to carry that idea, practitioners. So which is why we are saying that this Lokmanthan is not only of academicians, it is of practitioners. So the people who are practicing these ideas, these values in their day-to-day life, and when this number reaches a titration point, it reaches a particular critical mass, that becomes a Vyavastha, or it becomes a system. So whether it is in sciences, we have this great example of Jagdish Chandra Basu. We always read that he taught that there is life in plant. But that idea of that there is life in plant is an ancient Bharatiya thought. And we always knew it. But how do you prove this to the West? So the whole episode about how he goes about proving it to the Western scientists and how he makes it acceptable, right? Because he believed in this idea and he was able to translate that idea into a Vyavahar, into some habit, or to prove it. And through that scientific experiment, he proved it to people. More and more people started accepting that idea. And today it's a scientific principle carried across the world. This, whether it is science or it is lifestyle or it is any other aspect of human life, ideas have to get translated through practice and to becoming systems. So if the human race has to survive, a lot of the times people say that we should save the planet. I sometimes say that you don't need to save the planet because the planet will save itself. The human race has to think whether the human race will survive or not. So this is not about saving the planet, it is about saving the human race. So this diversity or the ecology on the planet will remain. Whether humans remain or not is the question. So sustainable development or ideas, these things, the whole practice, these systems have their roots in Bharatiya culture. The way we look at nature also, right? We call Atmavat Sarva Bhuteshu. We say that there is the Chaitanya in all forms of life, even in so-called material and immaterial objects also in it. So this ideas, they have to get more and more prominence. But for that, the carrier of the idea has to have strength. So we have noble ideas. It is practiced by a mass of people. That mass of people need to get strength, so that the world starts listening to this and then it becomes a practice. The way suddenly you have more than 190 countries practicing yoga on International Yoga Day. There are people practicing yoga in our country all the time. But today we see that so many countries are recognizing it. It means that there is a particular strength that the country this idea has been backed with. So this is what we are working on, to bring respect and acceptance to practitioners of our native ideas, so that we bring a sustainable change.
Very nice, sir. Very well said, sir. So, sir, as we continue and thank you so much for your time. And as part of the parting words, what is, again, for the youth to attend this Lokmanthan 2024 in Hyderabad, right, from November 21st to 24. Again, what is it? What is that message you really want to convey? Again, as you said, yes, you are not the person to kind of convey the message, but at least, right, a motivational and inspirational aspect, about the country, about our richness, our tradition, right? And a message from people like you will really, take it forward.
November 22nd to 24th, Lokmanthan Bhagyanagar 2024 is being organized. It is a great opportunity for experiencing the ideas and practices that practitioners across the world are doing in ensuring that sustainable practices or sustainable development practices are given strength. So this is a forum in which we are bringing such people from all over the world. If you want to understand what is Bharatiyata, what is our tradition, and whether they are only ideas or people are actually living it, if you want to see that, this is the place where you will experience it. So it is very sometimes when we say that gulab jamun is sweet, and you ask how sweet is gulab jamun, I can't explain it. You have to eat the gulab jamun or the rasgulla to know. The same way, I want you to come experience it. So experience Lokmanthan 2024. This is what is I can.
Awesome, sir. Awesome so much. Again, as you said, right, one has to experience having that gulab jamun. Only then they would really know how sweet it is, right? Normally, we may just say it's very, intangible aspect for the other person. So, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your time, and looking forward to a very, very happening event, the upcoming Lokmanthan. Thank you. Namaste, sir.